Good evening. Another big number of patches here. While it does not bring anything big as other patches has, it still brings some interesting stuff to the game. For campaign, mostly superficial minor polish. Art-wise, some new models sunshine. For 1 vs 1, there is some shake-ups with unit designs, the removal of top bar abilities but not really, along with replacing the creep camps with Stormgates. A foreshadowing on focusing on somewhat redesigning the Celestial Armada being the next priority. A new convenience control feature in the form of letting you spread units more easily with line dragging. A quick play option for Skirmish against AI instead of having to set up custom games against it. A great deal of bug fixes. And a preview of the terrain elements of the editor that people can soon test. Starting with the new Stormgates, which has replaced creep camps. Periodically, Stormgates will open and you will have to fight your opponent to capture them by dealing damage to it. If you win and capture it, you will be presented with 3 rewards you can choose from, either special units or relic stone units that can cast certain spells. This feature is on the 3 new default ladder maps, along with 2 healing ones on a map which you can go next to in order to heal your units. If you miss creep camps, then you can still play it in maps with bracketed creeps which still has creep camps. Move line drag. A neat new convenience feature which still is being worked on. This will help you with spreading units in lines you can drag around and release. It won't flawlessly spread out units if you advance all units in the same direction due to collision with other units, but it is a new convenience feature you can try out. Currently you cannot have both it and smart attack enabled at the same time unfortunately, but hopefully there will be some way to do so in the future. Vanguard 1 vs 1 balancing. You now only start with 7 server workers at the start for the match, down from 10. Top bar abilities has been removed, but not really, they have been moved to the command structure. Command post starts with 50 energy and can store up to 100. Abilities, Servo Overcharge, this will empower your workers, same as it was with the top bar version. Sensor Drone, unlocked with tier 2 high command, and will be available to all central commands. And lastly Promote, to give experience to your units to help rank them up. It should be noted also that every central command structure has an independent energy, so more bases means that you can cast more sensor drone or promote for unit experience. Habitat upgraded to Ramparts has had its reinforce ability slightly changed. If it targets a structure, it will provide 100 bonus armor. If it targets a unit, it will provide a sort of kind of 500 shield bubble. The unit will still take damage, but the damage will be reduced by 99% or something until it has effectively absorbed 500 damage. Occupied Sentry Post variants now has a rally point, which will make units that depart from them go to a rally point. And lastly for Vanguard, Hornet's anti-ground weapon damage has been reduced from 7 to 6. Infernal balancing. Just as Vanguard, you now only start with 7 workers down from 10. With the removal of top bar abilities, you no longer get enemies from unit deaths. Instead, now Shrines has energy starting with 50 and having a maximum of 100. Shrines at tier 1 can cast Summon Effigy at 25 energy cost. When you reach tier 2 Greater Shrine, all your shrines can cast Hellspawn Resurgence at 75 energy cost. And lastly Shadowfall at tier 3, which now also reduces enemy units' vision by 60%. Shroudstones has received a microscopical DPS nerf, but deals more burst damage now. Attacking every 1.8 seconds and dealing 40 damage per attack, going from 22.5 to 22.2 damage per second, and can no longer be upgraded to Wraithstone, which has been removed. Brute's cost has been increased from 125 to 150, and the attack speed bonus gained from the Infernal Fury Charge has been halved from 50 to 25%. Gaunt's upgrade time for Reaper's Rush has been decreased, now only needing 60 seconds. Hellborn can no longer attack air units. Flight Dragons has been nerfed, down to 700 hit points and regenerating 7 hit points per second on Shroud. In addition to losing resilience, which means that it can be affected by the crowd control effects. And lastly, Celestial Armada. You now start with one worker again. Collection Array has gotten most of the top bar abilities now, starting with 50 energy and 100 energy stored maxed. Unlike the other two factions, Collection Array has all three abilities from the start. Power Surge does not give unique effects on each structure, and it is now a temporary 15-second buff, followed by a 15-second debuff. The patch notes here claim that it will give 150 production speed, but it is only 100%, which affects both unit production and research. And it could be a miscommunication here, when it claims that the overload debuff reduces productivity and movement speed by 75%. It could be that they meant that it reduces to 75%, because in game it only reduces both by 25%. Sovereign's Watch, it is now a self-cast ability instead of being able to cast it on a selected structure. It now only has one charge, and if one collection array uses it, all others gets their cooldown triggered as well. And lastly, Zenith Scan. Cost doubled to 50 energy and no longer has a cooldown. And collection arrays can now store 2 charges of Prism's Warning. One thing that should be pointed out though, is that from what I can tell, you still cannot land the collection array where you want, meaning that you cannot use its spells until it is landed. Every collection array generates energy independently, and it will give you more Zenith Scans and Power Surges the more collection arrays you have. If you want to save the Luminite and move collection array to a new Luminite mine, then it is still an option. But that is effectively one less energy generating collection array throughout the match. Arc ships and its higher tiers now has a bigger power field radius from 8 to 10. The Fate's End ability has been removed from Arc Fortresses. It now has Purify and Aeon Gate. Purify has had its energy cost increased from 20 to a total of 50 energy cost per cast, and it now only has a 30-second cooldown without any charges. And Summon Aeon Gates cost 50 energy, along with 50 Luminite and Therium. Also, Aeon Gates now has an rally point option. It should also be noted that both of these spells has around half a screen's casting range, so you will have to risk the Arc Fortress to use both. Power Bank has had its cost reduced by 25 Luminite to 100 total, and gotten an arguably big nerf by no longer being able to transfer energy to structures, meaning that arc ships cannot be used as consistently for healing. But for what it's worth, it looks like most new ladder maps will feature a new healing fountain, so you will have some healing option for your army still. Strike Node and Blast Node will now have detection by default and see invisible units. Argent's slightly altered. It no longer has its photocapacitor upgrade, it now has 50 energy by default. In its place, the first upgrade, Heaven Step, is now a short-range dash ability that does not cost energy and can be used through other units. It could be me that's misunderstanding something here, because, words as written, it looks like Argent should no longer passively regenerate energy, but it still do when I tested them. Regardless, the new passive of theirs make them generate 1 energy for every 4 damage dealt or taken, and they can still receive energy from power banks. And its high energy shot has arguably become mildly hilarious. It now costs 50 energy per shot, its entire reserve, but it now increases damage by 300% instead of 100. This meaning that, with its second upgrade, you will in large battles obliterate the first thing you see with its 8 range attack. Vectors has had their anti-ground attack buffed from 8+2 to night to 8+3 to night. Seraphims now has bonus damage to Stormgates instead of creep camps, and no longer has its creep Vanguard passive, since Stormgates has no attacks. That covers the balancing section, and I'll just highlight again that they have hinted that coming up there will be a major focusing on changing the Celestial Armada. No details on what will be changed has been hinted, but hopefully it will be for the better. A quick look at Skirmish mode versus AI. This is a new quick option to play versus the computer instead of having to set up matches through custom lobbying. You can choose which difficulty for how aggressive the AI will be, which faction the enemy will be, or random if you want to be kept on edge, and which map to play on. The maps with bracketed creep is older maps that still feature creep camps instead of new maps with Stormgates which will have no bracketed content. Campaign updates. A brief tutorial has been added, which is mostly to help the newest of new players in the genre by pointing out the difference between move command and attack command. Proximity banter. Currently it's simply text boxes that NPCs in the ship will randomly provide occasionally when you go near them. This currently has no voiceover, or I could not hear it at the very least, and there is no mention of them being voiced either in the future. Interactive hub objects. I can't provide any commentary on this one, because I could not find anything when going through and playing the first 5 missions again. Fog of War shaders. It is a small detail, but depending on the mission environment, your Fog of War will match the terrain and sometimes be altered in the middle of the mission to match what's going on. Bonus credit gain from completing bonus objectives has been added to the score screen at the end of the mission, so you can see if you got all the credits for upgrades that you could have gained. Hero abilities has been simplified. For better or worse, it will be far easier to figure out what abilities does now. And a note here, stating that you will likely have issues with leveling up your abilities if you do not start a new campaign. If this is simply starting from the first mission or not, I am not certain, but I think it is that simple since I had no trouble with it. And a minor note that I think is new, is that some enemy bases has different army colors. It's not much, but I think it's new, and it will hopefully be reflective of some sub-factions in the future. A quick look on audio. More focus on trying to even out all the sound effect volumes. Implemented a new sound class system for better mixing. I have no idea what this means because I could not see it in the menu. Removed some of the fiend's death screeches that people disliked. Sound effects added for Stormgates and Stormgate reward related units. Sound effect and voicing for the new tribute pyre for Infernals that replaces the old pigpen. Second lastly before bug fixes, art updates. New models for Vanguard has been added for the Sentinel Helicarrier command post and its 2 higher tiers and the machine nav structure. For Infernals, firstly, Featherhog and Meat Farm has been replaced with Tribute, Pyre and Gremlins, making it a faction more vegan friendly. For people watching this, that's a joke and not anything Frostgiant Studios has said. Beside aesthetics, this is a small buff because Gremlins has a 3 range attack, unlike the old melee pigs. New models has been added for the Iron Wall, Conclave, Ritual Chamber, Shroudstone, and the Shadow Cleft has been replaced with the Blood Tree model. I can't explain the last one, but it's essentially the same building. A new rim outline for units. I think this is a small shining outline on one side of the units that follow the source of the sun or the moon as the night-day cycle goes on. Final note before bug fixes. The not yet accessible to the public editor, which only has the terrain editing so far. Frost Giant Studios has released an first look video that will let you see it yourself, but quickly summed up. It will let you experiment with the terrain editing, asset placement like rocks, trees and buildings and so on. You can paint the terrain, and there will be a variety of convenience tools such as mirroring for you to create symmetrical map terrains and forest, for instance on both or 4 sides of the map. Advanced stuff like modifying units and special event creation through data triggers or what be it will be named here is not yet in editor, but it will be added in the future. The video is there, a link will be provided in the description if you want to see it for yourself. As of posting this, it will be unavailable for the masses, but you can try your luck and ask for access code in their Discord. That's all the interesting content, and finishing the video with bug fixes. Worker counter will now hopefully be correct on headquarter buildings of different tiers. Units loaded into cargo capacity buildings and structures will now hopefully display the correct amount of health. Scout's pounce ability now does the correct amount of damage. Morphing units should now work properly if stunned in the middle of morphing. Out of Luminate alert should now work properly for Celestial Armada. Turrets now respect hold position. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Score screens should now hopefully progress past waiting for results. Units train should now hopefully work properly. Versus matchup loading screen should hopefully properly display players' army colors. Creating or joining a custom game lobby should hopefully happen smoother. Scrolling sensitivity should hopefully not randomly reset when setting replay speed. Players' screens should not turn white anymore if you adjust any video settings during a cutscene. Hopefully Shroud will no longer affect performance as much. And sound effect was missing from Archangel's Ascent. Multiple Archangels descending should make less noise when they land simultaneously. Kree's footsteps apparently made more noise than intended when walking in large groups. Guns should no longer make overlapping noises from commands and selection. Flayed Dragon summoning should now be tied to the correct volume slider. A missing sound effect for Imp's Flame On ability has been added. Some announcer lines did not work properly. Fixed excessive volume scaling for units' death sounds when multiple units were selected. Multiple units should no longer spike the volume when morphing at the same time. Celestial Armada should now get a proper audio warning and a visual ping when Luminite Ethereum is exhausted. Imp's attack sound effect should now obey the correct volume slider. Audio reset to default should now properly factory reset all audio settings. A missing hotkey for vision switching UI has been added. The enter key should now be a viable option for custom key binding. Celestial's hyperdrive upgrade should now have a hotkey when switching from grid hotkey layout to by command layout. Now, using modifier keys Ctrl and Shift for QWERTY should work properly. Setting Quick Macro Upgrade Advanced should no longer trigger an error when set to B. Resolved an issue where the Flayed Dragon Quick Macro did not display its cooldown timer. Celestial Hyperdrive ability should now work if used via the Quick Macro. It should now properly register what you're trying to input when setting the custom key bindings for quick macro upgrade menus. Corrected display behavior where morphing headquarters still showed upgrade charges in the quick macro UI when they should not have. Finally, the score screen should now properly display what experience you gain after co-op matches. Fixed a bug where minimap arrows were always orientated forward, regardless of players or camera direction. Addressed a visual bug where blockade was always shown on the replay loading screen with the name Commander, regardless of the actual player or hero used. Fixed an issue where creating or joining a custom game lobby would hang for several seconds while still accepting UI input before the lobby properly opened. Resolved an UI layering issue where a friends list would appear behind the custom gamer lobby when opened. You should no longer be able to see through walls in the hub ship in the campaign. Holding down the spacebar while talking to someone should no longer cause a black screen. Scientists should no longer flicker in the hub. You should no longer get stuck between crewmates when walking through the hub. In Mission 1, Armada should no longer say stop when not intended. Fixed an unintended secret found sound effect. The mission should now fail properly when Armada dies. You should no longer be able to ruin the mission by being able to walk out of the final room. This might be placed incorrectly in Mission 1, but completing the last mission should now return you to the campaign menu. Mission 2 should no longer have an 12-second black screen after the final cutscene. The final objective in Mission 3 should now work properly. The camera should now follow Malak when intended. Addressed a soft lock that occurred if players killed Malak in his cutscene. Servos should now go to where they are intended to go instead of the same first assigned point for satellite trucks. In Mission 5 you can now destroy stuff properly with hedgehogs. Completing Mission 5 should now send you to the Mission 6 ship hub. In Mission 6, Blockade should no longer be able to reach Major Guild before you intend to by literally jumping over the sequence. Riker's inventory should now properly be transferred from Mission 5 to 6. Riker should now move as quickly during the infiltration as other infiltrators. The camera should no longer be loaded in the bottom left corner when resetting or reloading a checkpoint. The Firestarter variant of Vulcans should be less bright now. Armada now has a sound effect when she dies. Fixed an issue where destructible objects were not displayed on a minimap. That's everything for patch 0.5, not as grand as some other big updates, at least not without having the editor out for everyone to try initially, but still steps forward. Stay intact and have a nice day.